and we can ride the boogie, share that beat of love. I wanna ride.
What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another video, or welcome if you are new. My name is Angelica. This is Natural Black Vegan, and today I'm here with another book wrap up. So I hope y'all have been enjoying these videos as much as I've been enjoying filming them. But we've already done our January, February books, and now I'm doing my March and April books. I didn't read as much in March and April, but I still had a few great ones. If I'm looking down and you wonder what I'm looking at my book journal. It's called I'm Booked All Week, and it is where I document every book that I read and what I thought about it. So if you are interested in all the books that I read in March and April, they're mostly romances and a lot of Black romance. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, then keep on watching. Alright, so we started the month of March with a poetry book, and this one is called Plantains and Our Becoming, Poems by Melania Luisa Marte. Here is the cover. Freaking stunning. So I started this book on February 26th and I finished it on March 2nd, so it is with the March books. And it is a series of poems and short stories all about her Afro-Latina heritage and how she grew up in America, specifically on the East Coast as an Afro-Latina woman. I ended up rating this one only 2 stars just because I really liked the poems in the beginning, but I did not like the short stories in the back. As you can see, like where I've tabbed off, I've only tabbed off like the beginning part because I only liked the poems in the beginning. And it talked about how her family came from Latin America and made it to America, and like the fear that they had, but also the courage they had to show, and basically how she's proud of who she is, the Black parts and the Latina parts, which of course I thought was extremely relatable being Afro-Latina myself. But yeah, it was not my favorite, and I was like very disappointed because I really wanted to like it, but I didn't. So I gave this one 2 stars. Sorry, girl. But if you like poems and short stories, you will probably like it. I wasn't a fan of the short stories part. I thought it was all like poetry, if that makes sense. But I did decide that this month I wanted to read y'all my favorite quotes from each book. So this is my favorite quote from this one. It says, "Her silhouette, the standard. Her afro, a wig they take on and off. Her melanin packaged and sold. Her culture, a billion-dollar commodity. Merengue, bachata, salsa, reggaeton, palo, rumba, samba, tango. Name a beat her hips ain't formed, and twerked into a baile, into ritmo, into música." So that was my favorite quote. It was from one of the poems close to the beginning of the book. But yeah, it started off going great, and then I just didn't like the end. So 2 stars for me, but if you like short stories, you would definitely like this one. All right, the next book that I read, I have to put a picture up because I read it on my tablet. So I have the Kindle app downloaded on my tablet and I read there sometimes. But this next book is called Church Girl by Naima Simone. I don't remember where I saw this book. I think maybe recommended in a TikTok, but I love this one. I started reading this book March 2nd, so right after this one, and I finished it on March 3rd. So literally finished it in one day. But it was about a young woman named Aaliyah. And she was raised as a church girl. So in a church family, her father was a pastor, and she was supposed to be getting married to a man that she did not even like, just because that's who her family wanted her to marry. So she ran away to Chicago, and she ended up working as a nanny for a famous tattoo artist named, I can't remember his name, Vaughn. A famous tattoo artist named Vaughn. Now, I've heard people talk about book boyfriends before, but I did not really understand it until I met Vaughn. Vaughn in Church Girl, he's so chef's kiss. Like, he's a tattoo artist. The way they describe him, you know he's fine. And he's a single dad. He has a hard exterior, but like on the inside, he's so sweet. Especially he has a soft spot for Aaliyah and her innocence. And I thought this book was so cute because she ends up like becoming herself, but like the secret life that she left behind ends up catching up with her. But she ends up finding her passions and who she really is and what she wants to do outside of her church girl persona. And then we also see Vaughn and how he develops as, you know, a love interest throughout the story. So it was very, very good. I give that one 5 stars. Like, it was one of my top reads of the month of March. That's how much I enjoyed it. And I feel like the main character, Aaliyah, was very, very relatable. Just that, like, people talk about coming to age stories when you're like 13 and 14 and like that age, but there's a lot of coming of age that happens in your mid-20s to early 30s. Like, as a woman who's in her early 30s right now, there's a lot of coming of age, a lot of self-discovery that happens at that age. There's a huge shift in like mindsets and standards and goals and passion and purpose and all of that happens in your late to mid-20s and early 30s. This book truly encapsulates that. So I wanted to go through some tropes that it had. But enemies to lovers, grumpy and sunshine, and then it is a black romance. It's spicy, so it definitely has a bit of spice. It was unexpected. The spice came out of nowhere, and then there is a single dad. But let me read y'all my favorite quote from this one. Out of the blue, I'm reminded of one of my favorite scriptures about God not being found in a wind or an earthquake or a fire. He was found in a quiet, small voice. That's this kiss. So very cute. I love the cute little romance book. So this one I love. 5 stars, 100% would recommend. If you're not into spice, then don't read it. But if you are, baby, you gotta pick up Church Girl by Naima Simone. The next book for the month of March is The Love Simulation by Etta Easton. I picked up her other book, The Kiss Countdown, one day at Barnes & Noble because I saw an astronaut on the cover and I saw black people on the cover. So I was like, yes, I'm getting that. And I liked it, so I got The Love Simulation. Now, when I read The Kiss Countdown, I rated it, I think, 4 stars, but The Love Simulation definitely gets 5 for me. I read this one from March 6th to March 19th. I must have been busy because that's definitely a long time to read this short little book. But this one is a teacher romance, and it's about a girl named Brianna Rogers. She's actually the sister of the male main character from The Kiss Countdown, and she's an assistant principal at a school. She ends up going on this like Mars space simulation to try to raise money for her school to get a new library, and her like teacher nemesis, who she also has a crush on, his name is Roman. He at the last second joined in on the simulation, and she doesn't fully know if she can trust Roman, but they're in this weird simulation where they have to do challenges and they're on camera all the time to try to raise money for the school, and they really end up learning so much about themselves and about each other and how they even feel about love and life and relationships and family and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it is a great read. I gave it 5 stars. It is definitely like a non-spicy, cute little black romance, but yeah, it's like just a perfect little love story that I love. It doesn't have a lot of twists and turns. Like, the plot is good, but it doesn't have any like giant, you know, overarching themes or things like trigger warnings. It doesn't have any of those. Like, it's just a cute, lighthearted romance. And sometimes if you read like heavy books or deeper romances, it's nice to throw in like a little cutesy one like this one. So I definitely will recommend it. I didn't have a favorite quote from this one, but I did write out some tropes. So forced proximity, I put it, it's a cute romance, a black romance, and a STEM romance because, you know, look at them, they're in a little science simulation. But yeah, very cute. If you want a non-spicy, easygoing, cute love story, I recommend The Love Simulation. The next book I read, you should not be surprised, I pre-ordered it because I had to get it right away, and it is The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Lori Gilmore. I am completely and utterly obsessed with Lori Gilmore's Dream Harbor series. I started seeing the Pumpkin Spice Cafe on TikTok, and I ended up getting stuck down the rabbit hole. So I've read all of them. I read the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, the Christmas Tree Farm, the Strawberry Patch Pancake House, and then I already have pre-ordered the Gingerbread Bakery, I think is what it's called. But I'm obsessed. I love the Dream Harbor series. It's definitely one of my favorite series. I have like 3 series that I'm locked in with. The Dream Harbor series is one of them, and the covers are just, they're so eye-catching and so darn cute. But I loved this story. My favorite of the Dream Harbor series is the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, but the Strawberry Patch Pancake House is a close second. Don't mind the corny titles. Like, my sister said the titles just throw her off track and she would never read the book based on the title alone, but I think they're cute. Whatever. But it says love blossoms in the most unexpected places, and that is so true with this story. I read the back of it, but still completely unexpected, like the twists and turns in this novel. I don't know how Lori Gilmore like puts it into one little bitty book, but yeah, it's so good. I read this one from March 21st to March 22nd, so again, I finished it in one day. I couldn't put it down. It's just like a typical cutesy romance novel, but I love Lori Gilmore stories because they're emotional, they're deeper than you think they would be, and then for me, they have the perfect amount of spice. Like, it doesn't get too weird to where I feel like I'm reading something that I shouldn't be reading. But yeah, this one's good. And it was about a single dad, again, another single dad, named Archer. He moved to the small town of Dream Harbor because he found out that he was a father. He has a little girl, I believe she's like 5, that he just found out that he had, and he needed a nanny. Another nanny story. Crazy. So Iris, who can never hold down a job, never be stable, she's kind of a hot mess of a person, she ends up being Archer's nanny, and of course they end up falling for each other. But the whole story is like so full of twists and turns. It's so good. But like in the story, Archer, he doesn't really want to settle down in one place. Like he's a chef, he wants to, you know, travel the world, live in Europe. And Iris, she never wanted marriage, a family, kids, any of this. It kind of just like fell into her lap. So this story has the perfect amount of twists and turns and plot and emotion and passion and purpose and all that stuff, but it's packed into such a cute little love story. Again, I didn't have a favorite quote from this one either. I find that the more cutesy a book is, the less that I have a favorite quote, but I do have some tropes for y'all. So we have Grumpy and Sunshine. Archer was grumpy. We have He Falls First, forced proximity because they're living together as Iris is Archer's nanny. It has some spice, like I said, secret relationship, one that I don't want to spoil, so I'll just keep that one to myself. Single dad, and it's also a dual point of view, which I really appreciate in a romance novel. So very cute. I recommend the entire Dream Harbor series by Lori Gilmore, but especially the Strawberry Patch Pancake House. All of the books, they kind of fit into this small town, but they're standalone reads, so you don't have to read all the other ones to understand what's happening in the Strawberry Patch Pancake House, but there are some recurring like background characters. So like the main people in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, they're like background characters in the Strawberry Patch Pancake House, you know, if that makes sense. But yeah, recommend this one, 5 stars. All right, the next book that I read in April, now we're moving on to April, is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I love Abby Jimenez, and it's not just because we have the same last name. I tell people she's my cousin, but Say You'll Remember Me is such a great read. In my opinion, she knows how to write a contemporary romance novel. Like, hands down, if you want to read a romance novel, I would say Abby Jimenez. Like, the woman knows what she's doing. But I had this book on pre-order already because I like her so much. And so when it came, I had to read it immediately. And I started seeing like horrible things about it on TikTok of people saying it was cringy, it was bad. And I disagree. I rated 5 stars. I loved this book. But I started reading it on April 5th. I finished on April 8th. So for this thick book, it only took me 3 days. I was locked in with Abby and these characters. This book is about a woman named Samantha Diaz, and she ends up taking like her new cat to a vet. His name is Xavier Rush, and he is just a total, I don't even know the right words to say. An a-hole? I don't know. I don't curse. So he's an a-hole, Xavier is. But they still somehow decide to date. Like, they can't get enough of each other, even though neither one of them is the other person's type, like, theoretically. But then at the end of their perfect, most beautiful first date, Samantha tells him, I'm moving across the country to take care of my family. My family is a hot mess. My mother is sick. She doesn't remember who I am. My whole family situation is completely messy. So I just beg you to forget about me. Like, forget we had this date. Forget I ever existed. But of course, Xavier can't do that. And he's a workaholic. He just has a brand new practice. He can't afford to move across the country for her. And so they're like, for all of us, it would be best, or for both of us, it would be best to just forget about each other. But of course they can't. And it's a long, dramatic, passionate love story. And the thing I like about Abby Jimenez is that it's never a surface level plot. It's never just a love story. Like, if you look at The Love Simulation, for example, that's a love story. This has so many more twists and turns and characters developing and becoming, and you learn about their family and their background and their cities. And that's what I love about Abby Jimenez, is she knows how to create the depth of the perfect romance novel. I personally feel like all of her books could be movies. That's how good they are. But I really liked this one too. Let me read y'all my favorite quote. My favorite quote from this one is, "You think it's the big memories you should be chasing, and it is in a way. Birthdays and vacations and special occasions, but the small memories are the fabric of your life. The ones so inconsequential that you don't even remember them. You just remember how you felt when you were making them." So cute. But yes, let me read y'all some trigger warnings and tropes I had in this one. There is death and grieving. There's also dementia in this book. I will call it Grumpy and Sunshine because Xavier is definitely grumpy. Long distance romance, and I put that it is funny because Abby Jimenez always captures all the emotions. Like, you'll be laughing, you'll be crying, you'll be angry, you'll be frustrated. Like, she gets all the emotions. She's the perfect love story writer, in my opinion. But yeah, Say You'll Remember Me, 5 stars, loved it. I definitely recommend it. All right, the next book I read after Say You'll Remember Me is Recipe for a Charmed Life by Rachel Linden. I've never read a Rachel Linden novel before, but I saw this on a little TikTok post, and it was talking about books that are perfect for spring. And I went to Barnes & Noble, and I actually saw it on the shelf. So I was like, oh, let me pick it up. It's so cute. Like, the cover, very adorable. This book is not what I expected. I thought it was romance, but it is magical realism, which I didn't expect. Wasn't sure I was gonna like it, but I did. It ended up being my top read for the month of April. And I read Recipe for a Charmed Life from April 8th to April 13th. So I would say that's a reasonable amount of time. I really enjoyed this. This one got me through state testing at work. We were state testing for like 2 weeks with the kids, and you couldn't have a phone or a computer or anything. So I went through both of these within those like couple weeks of state testing. So Recipe for a Charmed Life. This one is about a chef named Georgia May, and she had this crazy outburst in Paris that could have jeopardized her entire career as a Parisian chef. And so she's like, let me just take some time off. I need to refine myself, find my purpose, get back on track. And so she goes to visit her mom. And she lives in these small islands. I can't remember what the islands are called. Oh, San Juan Islands. And it's on the northwest coast, I believe. And she has not seen her mom since her mom left her when she was like 5 years old. So she barely remembers her. She has like certain flashbacks that come to her about her mom. But her mom reached out and was like, hey, Georgia, if you have the time, I have some things I want to tell you. This is where I am. And so she's like, this is perfect timing. Like, my career is going crazy. It's the perfect timing for me to reunite with my mom. But when she gets to the island, she finds that there's a certain magic of the islands and a family legacy that she knew nothing about. And so it's kind of a coming of age story in a sense, where she pieces together different aspects of her life and her ancestry, and kind of finds out who she is and what she really wants out of life, instead of just the agenda that she's been pushing all this time. So again, for me, coming of age story when you're in your mid-20s to early 30s, this fits in with that kind of theme of like finding yourself, your purpose. You know, a lot of times you get so stuck on a schedule of like, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to start a career, then I'm going to get married, then I'm going to have kids, and you stay on this track that you forget, like, is this what I really want, or am I just like checking things off of a list? And I feel like this is a perfect story to kind of express that journey. Let me read y'all my favorite quote from this one. So it says, the real recipe for a charmed life was simple. Not easy, but simple. To do the work that filled her with wonder and delight. To walk lightly through the world, giving generously to those around her. To love all in her care as best she could. So again, very cute. It has like little aspects of romance, but it's really more like magical realism. And then let me give y'all some highlights that I wrote down. It does have a little bit of magic in it. Not like Harry Potter magic, but it's more like a Mamma Mia type of vibe. It has destination, not a lot of romance, family drama, lots of family drama, but I did put it as a feel-good read because I definitely felt good as I was reading this one. I loved it. The whole entire story is as cute as the cover, but it does have some depth, so I really enjoyed this one. The next book for April I read on my tablet, but it's called Make a Scene by Mimi Grace. This one was another cute cover that I saw on TikTok, and that's what drew me in about it. But I read this one from April 14th to April 20th. It could have taken me shorter, but again, life was life, and I was reading other books at the same time, yada yada. But I was looking for a cute, easy read because Say You'll Remember Me was very deep and very heavy. Recipe for a Charmed Life was heavier than I thought it was going to be. So I wanted something just kind of cute and easygoing. So that's why I picked Make a Scene. But Make a Scene was about a young chef named Retta. Well, she was a baker. A young baker and business owner named Retta. And her cousin was marrying her ex-boyfriend. So Retta's cousin and Retta's ex-boyfriend were getting married. Their wedding was coming up, and Retta was like, I cannot show my face there without a date. So next to her bakery, a new gym opened up, and one of the owners of the gym, Duncan, she asked him to be her fake boyfriend for the event, and he was like, I'll do it in exchange for like more parking spaces. So they decide to, you know, get to know each other, go on a couple of dates so they can be prepared for the whole scene at the wedding. But of course, as always in fake dating, they end up falling for each other. I love fake dating. It is my favorite trope. My favorite kind of romance is fake dating. I know a lot of people think they're corny and don't like them, but for some reason, I love a good fake dating. Like, I don't know, I just do. But I didn't have any favorite quotes from this one. Again, it was a light, cute little read, but here's some highlights I wrote down. It's a Black romance. It does have themes of divorce. There's fake dating, family drama, and then I think there was one spicy scene, maybe two. But when I tell you that the spice came out of nowhere, like when you look at the cover of the book, I was like, oh, this is going to be spicy. This is cute. This is like, this is easy. And then like, I swear they were just talking. And then all of a sudden it was like, boom, spicy scene. And I was like, whoa, like that was unexpected. Like it wasn't bad, but I wasn't expecting it. And I think it's part of like Mimi Grace's Love Struck series. So I definitely at some point want to read book number 2 and book number 3 in the Love Struck series. But I rated this one 4 stars just because it was like cutesy and lighthearted. It wasn't very deep. It wasn't emotional. The plot was okay. Like, you know, it wasn't a really huge, like, what I think they call it, a third act or act 3 breakup, whatever they call it, third quarter breakup. I don't know what they call it, but they didn't have a huge giant falling out. Like, it was just very basic, very bare minimum, very fake dating love story, like what you would expect, you know, like boy and girl agrees to fake date, boy and girl go out on dates, boy and girl are like, oh my gosh, do we like each other? Boy and girl sleep together, boy and girl attend event, boy and girl are like, oh well, our arrangement is kind of over, right? Boy and girl end up falling in love. Like, that was it. Like, it wasn't any deeper than that. It was very, very surface level, so that's why I only gave it 4 stars. But again, if you need something light and cutesy and easy to read, and I pretty much just told you the whole plot. So again, if you just need to dive into something light and easy to read and you want to support a Black author, make a scene. The last book that I read in April was Passion Project by London Sperry. And y'all, I signed up for Book of the Month in April, and this is my first Book of the Month book. And I read through the different selections, and then I ended up picking the romance selection. But Book of the Month, basically you pay, and each month they have like new or unreleased books from different genres that you can read. And so they have like thriller, romance, historical fiction, just like different categories, and you can pick which one you want to read. If none of them sound interesting to you, you can skip a month, and then you don't pay for the next month. You apply the credit to the month after that. So of course, when I logged into Book of the Month, I chose the romance option, and it was Passion Project by London Sperry. I had the hard copy, but I wasn't really feeling this book, so I gave it to one of my coworkers to borrow. I only let people borrow books if I'm okay with never seeing them again. And I was definitely okay with never seeing this book again. But it's pretty much, oh, let me tell you when I read it. April 15th to April 26th. This was the third one that got me through state testing. So You Remember Me, Recipe for a Charmed Life, and then Passion Project got me through state testing. Crazy time to be alive. But it was about a hot mess of a woman. This is why I didn't like the book. The main character, well, I shouldn't say I didn't like it. This is why I'm conflicted about it. The main character, Bennett, she was such a hot mess. Like, she was grieving the death of her, like, high school boyfriend. But she was, like, depressed. She was a mess. She couldn't keep a job. She didn't have a passion. She was sad all the time. She was messing up the relationships around her. Like, I could not stand Bennett for most of this book. And she was the main character. And it's difficult to enjoy a story if you can't stand the main character. Anyway, Bennett agrees to go on this blind date with a guy named, oh God, what was his name? Henry. With a guy named Henry. She stands him up. She feels like, I can't do this. I'm still grieving the loss of my boyfriend. And she ends up like getting drunk, passing out in the bathroom. Henry finds her there. She ends up coming back to apologize to him because she left her wallet at the restaurant, finds out that he works there. And, you know, they start talking, and she's like, my life is a hot mess. And he's like, we all got some hot mess things going on. And she's basically like, I don't even have a passion, and I'm at this big age. And he's like, hey, well, why don't I help you find your passion? Like, no strings attached. We don't have to date. We're friends, but I just want to help you find something that you're passionate about in life. And so Henry and Bennett spend the summer trying different things. Like, they go to an adoption center for pets. They do a tattooing class. Just a bunch of random things. Climbing the side of a skyscraper. A bunch of stuff to try to find out what Bennett's passion is. But her life is so twisted and such a hot mess that her and Henry end up getting deeper and deeper, you know, woven into each other's lives. And they find out they have some of the same friends, and they meet so many funny people along the way, and just create all of these experiences to help Bennett find her passion. So the ending of this book is what made me give it 4 stars, because it was really only at 3 stars because of how much I could not stand Bennett this whole story. But the ending was amazing. She kind of wrapped her life up full circle and discovered more about who she is and why she was stuck in grief instead of being able to move on in her life. So she, like, you know, tied up some loose ends pretty much in her life. So the ending made it a 4-star read. It was gonna be a 3-star read until literally like the last 50 pages. But let me read y'all my favorite quote. It says, "You're safe with me. That's all I see in his eyes when he looks at me." So, oh, so cute. But it had a little bit of spice, like really not too much at all. Like, I call it Grumpy and Sunshine because she was grumpy, he was sunshine. It has themes of depression and grief, and then I'll also call it Friends to Lovers. Would I recommend Passion Project? No. If it wasn't a Book of the Month read, I probably would not have read it or picked it out. I didn't really like it. And then it's May 3rd, I think, as I'm filming this right now. So I did not choose a book for May from Book of the Month. I didn't like any of the options. They didn't have a romance option, and I'm pretty much exclusively a romance reader at this point. So I didn't choose a Book of the Month. But if I did not have to read Passion Project, for Book of the Month, I wouldn't. I did not like it. I did not. I gave it 4 stars because I like the ending, but it's really a 3-star read. So to me, not really worth it. Alright, y'all, I was gonna wrap up this video, but I realized that I must have skipped a book in my book journal because I definitely read another book that I loved so much in the month of March. And that book was Somebody's Wife by Robbie Renee. I read it on my tablet, so I don't have a physical copy, but I literally forgot to put it in this book journal, and I almost forgot to talk about it. And it was literally one of my favorite reads for March. Like, for March, I had a three-way tie for my favorite book. If you want to hear more about the books that I read and I like, check out naturalblackvegan.com. I do full reviews there, and those happen every month. But I had a three-way tie between Strawberry Patch Pancake House, Church Girl, and Somebody's Wife by Robbie Renee. And I can't believe I didn't write it down. So I don't know when I read it, but I read it sometime in March, and it was so good. It was an extremely spicy 5-star read. I need to calm down because I'm excited. But it was a black romance. I need more details. Hold on one second. All right, so Somebody's Wife came between the Strawberry Patch Pancake House and Say You'll Remember Me. I knew I was missing one, but I read this book from March 24th to March 26th. I can't believe I forgot to write about this one. I literally loved this book so much. But it was about two professors, Dr. Gemma Holliday and Dr. Ezekiel Green. And Dr. Ezekiel Green was moving to Dr. Gemma's hometown. She kind of interviewed him for her college, decided he wasn't a good fit, but they were both like undeniably attracted to each other. The only problem was that Gemma is married, and she was married to her college sweetheart. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name. See, it's been too long now. It's been too long. What was his name? I can't remember her cousin's name. It was a letter. I think Q, Quentin maybe? It started with a Q, I'm pretty sure. But her husband, he was her college sweetheart, and they were going through a rough patch. He was cheating on her a lot, and she was still kind of sticking around because they're like J and Q forever. Like, they have an adult child. She goes to the same college that both her and her husband work at, the college they met at, and the college that now Dr. Ezekiel works at. So Gemma kind of finds herself in this crazy predicament when things with her husband get even worse, and he publicly humiliates her in front of their colleagues and everything else, and she finds herself in the arms of Dr. Ezekiel, even though she is still married to her husband. But he kind of helps her find herself and become the woman that she is kind of meant to be and the woman she's perceived as, because this relationship with her husband, who is her college sweetheart, is kind of weighing her down. You know, like, he's not loving her the way she should be loved, treating her the way she should be treated, valuing her for the woman that she actually is. And Ezekiel kind of shows her, you know, who she could really become, and kind of helps develop her and help her blossom into a wonderful woman. But I love this love story. I definitely give it 5 stars. I don't even have like my favorite quote because I didn't even document anything about this book, and I'm just so surprised and shocked. And like, y'all see the surprise for me? I don't know. I really don't. Oh, I did read it on my Kindle, so I should be able to pull up my highlights. Yes. Okay, now I'm excited. Oh yes, the thing that Dr. Ezekiel used to always tell Gemma in the book, that was my favorite quote, and it's, don't think, don't hesitate, just come. So I really loved that one too. 5 stars. I can't believe I left that one off the list and off my book journal, but yeah, I loved it. And I think there's another one, Somebody's Husband. I want to read that one too, but this one had lots of spice, a lot of spice. Of course, topics of divorce, infidelity, things like that. But again, I love these stories where women become, you know, who they're supposed to be. It reminds me of This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan, like one of those types of stories. Like, it reminds me of one of those. But I don't know what I'm gonna read next for May and June. Kennedy Ryan does have a 3rd book coming out in her series with, I don't remember the name of the series. I don't know why I have no memory today, but it's about Yasmin, Soledad, and Hendrix. So I read Yasmin's book and Soledad's book, so Hendrix's book is coming out next, so I can't wait to read that. It'll be the next book in Mimi Grace's Love Struck series. And then right now I'm reading The Worst Best Man by Lucy Score. So who knows what will come for May and June, but those are all the books that I read in March and April. If you enjoyed this kind of chaotic bi-monthly book wrap up, then make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any more of my videos. My more in-depth book reviews are always on my blog, naturalblackvegan.com, linked in the description box. And I'll try to link all these books and put chapters in the description box too if you want to just scroll through and see what you want to see. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!